I am Christopher Calloway for Word on the Nerd. I'm here at the Baltimore Comic-Con, Day 3, Sunday, September 4th, 2016. And I'm here with Dennis Calero, artist,
everybody. Hello.
penciler, inker, colorist.
Everything. Writer as well.
A writer as well.
And
if you're not familiar with Dennis's work, what have you been reading? I mean, you've worked for Marvel, DC, Dynamite, Dark Horse.
Yeah. Top
the
Cow,
list goes on and on.
Myself, Amazon. It's a lot. Right. I'm getting depressed.
So right now you're working on Templar?
I'm working on Assassin's Creed Templar for Titan UK, licensed from Ubisoft. And issues 1 through 5 were written by Fred Van Lente, illustrated by me. And I will be writing and drawing and coloring issues 6 through 9. So it's going to be a very exhausting fall. Yeah. Okay.
And you also have your own creator-owned The Suit for Dark Horse?
Suit, yeah, that 9-part series is finishing up within the pages of Dark Horse Presents, which was nominated for a Harvey Award, which we did not win, but still, it was nice to be nominated and or be in a book rather that has been nominated as a book. Yeah. Not because of me, although primarily probably because of me. Let's face it. And yeah, Dark Horse Presents was just a wonderful experience. I got to do essentially a little bit more, almost like a 4-issue series, serialized, to get so many positive responses from people, specifically for that story. That I could see Bro created, and you try to create a character, and didn't explode like a Hellboy or a Sin City or something, but still to have some people say I really like that character, I think he's cool, and I want to see what he does next is a nice experience.
Okay. And you also you've already finished it, but it's still coming out on sale right now. Is Mayhem and Magic, or Magic and Mayhem? Mayhem and Magic for Jet Comics.
A reliquary tale, Mayhem and Magic from Amazon Comics. I think that's the imprint Amazon, right?
I think it's Jet.
Oh, maybe. Okay. So anyway, working with Paul Morrissey and Brendan Wright at Amazon to produce that book was a really great experience. And of course, the wonderful script by Alex DeCampi and great colors. That I did not do. Someone else did the wonderful colors in those. So that's also coming out. Yes.
You also did a book recently. Was it for American Gothic? It's a horror book. You did the colors.
Yes. No, I did the. Okay, yes. Wow, I really don't sleep.
You've been a busy guy.
Oh my God, yes. Okay, so I drew a single issue for them called Alex, a Gunsights special, which is all mech suits and aliens like that. So that was super cool. And I colored for them a series written by Steve Niles and illustrated by I'm gonna try his last name. You'll figure it out. You'll put it down here in letters or something, right? Like that guy. But Piotr did absolutely beautiful art, and it was monster detective stuff, and it was a lot of fun to do. And I like coloring other people's work and conferring with the artists about how they want their work to be best presented. I started my career in comics coloring. Before I even graduated college, I was coloring advertisements for Marvel in airbrush and doing watercolor for companies like Valiant and Old Valiant and Defiant. Eventually moving over to computer color, where me and my wife at the time, Kristen Sora, developed a business called Atomic Paintbrush, and we were coloring 15, 20 books a month for a while in our early 20s. So we were. I guess I never slept. I guess I'm gonna.
You got to strike while the iron's hot.
Oh my God. Yeah, no kidding. So so a long career filled with many different kinds of things. Not all great, but all different. I could say that.
And there's still more. You still have The Devil Inside you're working on.
Todd Stashwick and I created and are still doing on his website a webcomic called Devil Inside, which is available for free at toddstashwick.com. No, we don't there's no advertisement. We don't ask for your email address or Facebook or anything, just that you tell your friends if you like it, and it's been going on like that for five years, and we're 4 seasons of cartoons in and still having a lot of fun.
And no end in sight. Just keep going.
Well, we have an end in sight for this season as sort of the end of this graphic novel, this story, which we'll then collect and put out there and into the world in print form. Right. And then whether we definitely have other stories to do for Devil. We also have other ideas for free online webcomics, a medium that I'm still very passionate about, and I still feel is a really great way for people to reach. In this marketplace right now where the dollar is precious and comics are super expensive, I think it's still nice to have not just ours, but other people as well, free webcomics that are put out there just for the love of the story and the hope that the story will catch on and may live, and look, we want to make money like everybody else. Hopefully we'll live to be, monetarily lucrative in other media, but in the meantime, it's free on the web, accessible to everybody at any time. So I think that's still a very exciting idea.
And lately I've seen you've been posting a lot of watercolor work. I don't know if people are aware, but I mean, Dennis does a lot of watercolor work too. I mean, I remember last October you dabbled in using Periscope to demonstrate little
I still want to do more of those. It's just
those are fantastic. I love those.
Thank you. I was trained as a painter. That's when I went to art. I went to architecture school. I transferred into illustration, and I thought I was going to be a book cover artist. And then like a lot of things that happen in life, industries change, and I was always very interested in comics. And I do remember that there was as an artist, there was a very specific transition that I had to make to sort of think in black and white, in line and in tools of mainstream comics, which is flat black, flat white, line, and feathering, or cross-hatching or tone, the black, the white, the line, and the in-between, however an artist interprets that, whether it's feathering or cross-hatching or zip-a-tone or whatever. And so there was a transition to that. Even as I was coloring my own work, the black and white line had to exist in and of itself independently. So lately, to make that transition back into painting, watercolor for now, and eventually I'm getting back into oils and gouache and stuff like that, has been really exciting. And Instagram is a way to sort of, I can do these small sketches that really do help an artist, at least for me as an artist, to loosen up, to ensure that I don't forget that this is not just a job. Mm-hmm. This is not just a vocation like air conditioning repair.
Right.
No offense to air conditioning repairmen. I love you guys. You keep me cool. But that it's not just a vocation. That this is an art form. That I'm doing and I'm creating art, even though there's a commercial intent. The paintings help me do that, and hopefully, at some point too. I've branched off into writing. I'm writing Templars, as I said, I believe I said, and I'm also drawing storyboards for commercials. So I've been having a lot of fun this year, branching out and doing stuff that are tangential but not necessarily defined by comics. Comics can be a very as a hobbyist, as a reader, and it's the same thing is true as an artist or a writer or as a creator. Comics can be a very gilded prison. Like, you decorate your cell and everything's wonderful, but it's nice to get out into the yard and do something else for a little while. Storyboards have allowed me to do that. Writing has allowed me to do that, and I want to continue developing stuff for television and for animation, and hopefully 5-10 years from now, I'm doing comics still. I'm doing my own stories, but I'm also writing novels, and I'm also having short stories published, and I'm also have stuff on television and animated properties that are on Nickelodeon or Disney or what have you. I could not conceive for myself of a richer life.
Well, I can't think of a better way to keep the artistic skills sharp. It's just like a musician who, but not just listening to one type of music. When they create music, they listen to all different kinds, get different influences. For an artist, it's the same thing. I mean, having
great Chris Miskowitz, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.
Having different mediums, different storylines, and that all helps to make the overall better. They each support each other. Right. The different works you're working on.
All the art forms have much more to do with each other than they have much more in common than they don't, and so which is one of the things that can be frustrating as an artist, as a creator in this industry, in film and television. What they want you to do is what you did before. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's hard to communicate to someone who is whose job is to administrate or whose job is to oversee something, which is a valuable and necessary part of the equation, but that drawing comics for 10 years, 15 years is writing experience.
Yeah.
When you're reading a script, and I personally have always written. When I was 19, I was pitching for Star Trek on a television show. I wish I knew at the time how amazing that was. I didn't know. I was like, oh, okay, this is what you do. But moving on. But that when you're taking scripts and you're interpreting them for 5, 10, 15 years, that is writing experience. But it's hard to get people to understand that, so which is why I always encourage people, and myself as well, that if you want to do something, just do it. Do it really. There used to be, in all these walks of life, there used to really be a mechanism, and we can go back as far as the Renaissance painters and the idea of what's the word I'm looking for? They bring a young person in and they're showing them from the time they're 12.
Okay, like an intern or
we would have called it intern, but the word will come to me. I'm sure someone out there is screaming it but I can't hear you, so I'm sorry. And they're brought in and
apprentice.
There we go. The apprentice system, and you're brought in and you're trained from a young person, and then when you're 18, 19, and you've been doing this 6 or 7 years, you get to paint the background, or the master paints, or the cloth, or the master paints the faces, and then when you're 20, 25, you go off and you do your own thing, and then internships, and then editors. I feel in our industry used to look out for talent, and with the idea that they wanted to cultivate it, because it was also to their benefit as well. I don't think that it really exists anymore. The best way to start writing for Marvel is to write for somebody else, and to show and to have them, an editor at Marvel, sort of become organically aware of what you're doing and want to seek you out, and that works for them. There's no reason for them not to do that. As far as you, as an artist or a writer, anybody out there that wants to do that, you have the internet. So as soon as you feel that you're ready, get out there and start putting stuff out there, put it on the internet, let people see it, and eventually, if people like what you do for free, they will pay you for it eventually, because they will want that experience repeated, and they will pay you to do that.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of competition out there, people that want to be artists and writers, but there's also more opportunity now to get your work out there with social media, with putting things online for free so people can see your work. I mean, at least you have, even though there's more competition and fewer spots, there's more ways to put your work out there and get noticed.
Yeah.
So you've been here before.
Yes.
When it was smaller?
Yeah, it was a much smaller show at the time. I went to the Harveys back then, also much smaller, so it was nice to go to the Harveys last night. And Baltimore seems to have become a show where all of my colleagues come to interface with fans on a comic book level and with each other, and to have a drink and relax and talk about how upset we all are every day about what we do, and how much we love what we do, and how our complex relationships with our muse.
Yeah, I would think that'd be rather refreshing and rejuvenating to go and meet with other friends of yours, acquaintances who work in the arts.
It is. It's
supportive.
It's supportive. It's like a support group. We all go. I mean, great Dean Haspiel last night at his keynote speech at the Harveys, was talking about how he stays up at night sometimes wondering, is the next job coming tomorrow? Have I made a terrible mistake with my life? If things could turn out better? Eventually to pass out, and everyone's just like, oh yeah. But I will say, as I get a little bit older, and some of it is being more secure in my work. Some of it is experience. Some of it is having experienced the panic of, as a freelancer, of where's my next job? Where's my next job coming from? And there's always another job. And I don't mind saying I've made as many mistakes as a person can make in a career, and I'm still here. Comics is an incredibly flexible, forgiving community, constantly self-correcting, constantly wondering as a collective if we could do things together. And it really is, having worked in other industries, film and television, and while there is camaraderie in those industries in terms of when you're working on a project together, I don't sense, maybe it's because they're just too large, but I don't sense the same overall sense of brotherhood and sisterhood that you have in comics among the editors and the publishers and the artists and the creators and the fans, the readers, everyone together feeling like we're not just in it for ourselves. We're not just in it to make a career or to make money or self-aggrandize, all of those things which are important. But we're also here together because we believe in this medium, and we believe that this medium is important, and we want it to be around for our children and other people's children to enjoy generations to come. This is, as Harlan Ellison said, is one of the only truly American art forms in terms of comics in this specific form. I know my European friends are all arguing with me about, hush, it's our time. Love you guys. It makes you feel like you made the right choice in terms of that there is a community of people that we feel like we need to support this medium for its own sake. And what's also nice is I've also noticed in the last 6, 7, 10 years a recognition that our seniority, our senior members, people that were drawing comics in the 50s, 60s, and early 70s, still have, not only should be respected, of course, but also still are viable choices. I see editors in their 20-somethings hiring people in their 60s, which I never saw before 10 years ago.
Yeah.
It really was a young man's game, and we really have become not only discussions about sexism, genderism, racism, but also ageism, and that we are all under the smaller umbrella of comics, but the larger umbrella of humanity. That everyone's important and everyone deserves respect. And if you're 65 and you can do it, if you're a Walt Simonson and you're 70 and you're doing the best work of your life, readers will come to read. And that's also a wonderful thing to feel as an artist in his 40s, very early 40s, and that as long as I can bring it, as long as I'm willing to do the work, as long as I'm willing to keep innovating and keep trying and keep evolving, that there is the potential of an audience there, no matter how old I am, no matter what kind of work I'm doing. That if it's good, they will come.
Well, that's one good change that's happened over the past 10 years. There are a lot of good people out there, like Walt Simonson, Neil Adams is still working, still out there. And
doing some of the best work they've ever done.
I know. It's
Taken.
It doesn't matter how you look. It's what you produced. If you're still producing, we need to have them out there.
It is art. I remember being a kid and reading Star Wars comics and thinking like this Carmine Infantino guy must be this young, vibrant. Carmine was doing legitimately some of the most amazing work he'd ever done, and he was in his 50s, late 50s, in the late 70s, early 80s, and just doing work that I, as a 10-year-old, did I say 10? I meant 3, was incredibly enamored of. The idea that you can be older and be an artist, and as long as you're still putting in an effort. In my experience, the artists that as they get older, their work sort of, stales. Is not a lack of skill. This is an art form that the more you do it, the better you get. You can't help but get better. If you draw every day, no matter who you are, whether you're an amateur just doing it for fun or a professional, if you draw every day and you make an effort, you're going to get better. You won't be able to help it. So I feel that no matter how old you are, if you're someone like Walter is still incredibly passionate about his drawing, about the stories he's telling, yes, but also passionate about the act of drawing, the act of putting marks on a piece of paper that can be interpreted as both form, but also as shapes and lines that are pleasing in and of themselves, which is an incredibly exciting idea. As long as you're like that, you can be 70 years old and doing the best work you've ever done.
And it must be nice at that age to do what you want to do.
Yeah.
At that point, you're well established. You can get the work.
It's funny. You never really totally. I remember the night I met Frank Miller. I was chatting. I was very excited to share. I'm one of you guys. I'm with you. I was complaining about something I was doing at Marvel. The normal complaints. Oh, they won't let me do this. Or let me change this. And he goes, kid. He's like, I'm Frank Miller, and DC won't let me do a Superman book. There's always someone willing to say no matter who you are. But which is wonderful. First of all, you know what, me and Todd, we always recognize that the minute that you want someone else to pay for what you do, you are now in the realm of commercial work, and you are in the realm of being beholden to what that person, what that entity wants. It's just the way that it is. It's not particularly fair to say, give me your money and I will do whatever I want, which could be nothing. How about I just take your money and not do anything? How about I want to do that? You know, there is, even if you're an artist that has a following and that happens to be in line with what you want, you still are obligated to be entertaining. And if you're not, then they'll stop buying. So there's a transactional nature to this, and there could be a whole, we could do a whole long discussion about what that transactional nature does to art. Even Degas, I think even Degas said to the end of his life, I wish I'd never painted a ballerina in my life. He was sick of it by the end, because even to him, he was an impressionist and a fine artist, but it was still a job and a bottom of house, and there's that recognition, which goes back to what we talked about earlier, which is why it's important to take time out of the day as a working artist or as a writer and develop your own work, even if it's not for, maybe even especially not for publishing, not for a transactional situation, right? So that I did this because I wanted to do it. A couple weeks ago, I was doing, because I'm going to be doing some Doctor Who covers for Titan at some point when I could breathe, when I take a breath, I'm going to do some Doctor Who covers I'm excited about. But I was doing small little watercolors, and then I was just kind of doing one a day for fun, and then I'm like, you know what, instead of doing someone else's character, doing someone, a property owned by the BBC or another big company, I did some illustrations for a friend's unpublished novel. Like, why not? I'll do her stuff. Or I did a portrait of a friend's dog for the dog's birthday. Because why not? That's going to mean much more to that person than my painting Peter Capaldi, for someone else. Even though that people enjoy that, and as do I. I guess what I'm saying is I've come to realize relatively recently to keep that connection to the personal is incredibly important, and it invigorates everything I do. It makes the commercial work better as well. So to sort of rediscover that has been a wonderful gift, that I still enjoy doing what I do. Yeah.
Well, Dennis, thanks so much for your time. I'll let you get back to it. Thank you. Just the Calloway word of there. Thank you.